Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are tackling something that keeps a lot of us up at night, even if we don't always admit it at dinner parties.
hmm
It's that low-level hum of anxiety in the back of your brain, the feeling that you should be doing something more with your money, but you just don't know what.
It's the Sunday scaries for your bank account.
Exactly.
It really is the background noise of modern life, isn't it? And what's fascinating is that this anxiety isn't necessarily about being broke. You could be earning a perfectly good salary.
Right.
It's about that nagging guilt,
Uh.
the feeling that you're disorganized, or that everyone else has some secret investment strategy that you missed the memo on.
Yes, that's it. It's that feeling of, am I standing still while everyone else is getting rich? You see a neighbor buy a new car or hear a colleague talk about their portfolio, and you just get that pit in your stomach.
You do.
And to help us quiet that noise, we are diving deep into a book that is basically the Bible of personal finance for the modern earner. We are talking about Let's Talk Money by Monika Halan.
This is such a fantastic text to dig into because Monika Halan isn't a guru trying to sell you a course or, a specific product. She's a veteran financial journalist
Decades of experience.
for decades. She has seen the good, the bad, and the really ugly of the financial industry. And her approach isn't about getting rich quick. It's about financial hygiene.
I love that term, financial hygiene. It sounds so much more manageable than like wealth management or something.
Right.
It implies that it's just something you do to stay healthy, like brushing your teeth. And she uses this central metaphor that I think we should unpack right away. She talks about the money box.
Right. And this is where most people get it wrong. When the average person thinks about their finances, they think about the products. They think, I need to buy a stock, or I need an insurance policy.
My uncle told me to buy this.
Exactly. They view the box as just a container for these random products they've collected over the years, usually because some pushy agent told them to.
It's like a junk drawer in your kitchen. You have a screwdriver, some old batteries, a takeout menu, and a random mutual fund you bought 5 years ago.
That is the perfect analogy. Halen argues that the money box shouldn't be a junk drawer. It is actually a system. It's a machine. It's a workflow designed to streamline your cash flow, build safety nets, and then, only then, grow wealth.
And the goal of the system is to be hands-free. That's the part that really got me.
She wants you to set it up so you only have to look at it twice a year.
That is a dream. Fill it, shut it, forget it.
Yeah.
I was so relieved reading this because I expected another lecture on the latte factor. The typical advice, if you just stop drinking coffee, you'll be a millionaire.
Oh, she is so refreshing on that. She basically says, look, life is for living. If coffee makes you happy, drink the coffee. If buying shoes brings you joy, buy the shoes.
Thank you.
The problem isn't the small joys. The problem is the lack of a system. If you have a system, you don't need to obsess over every rupee you're sent. You can enjoy your latte guilt-free because the back end is taken care of.
Okay, so let's build this system. She starts with the foundation, which she calls the cash flow system. And she starts by kind of attacking something we all hate, budgeting.
She calls traditional budgeting boring and obsessive. And she's absolutely right. Think about how we usually try to budget. We download an app, we start tracking every single penny.
Every single one.
Ours $1.50 for milk, ours $100 for eggs, ours $500 for petrol. It feels like a crash diet.
It really does. You do it for a week, you feel miserable and restricted, and then you have one bad day where you forget to log an expense and you just give up. I have definitely been there.
Me too. We all have.
I download the app, I log every coffee for 3 days, and then I forget about it for 3 months.
Which is just human nature. We aren't wired to be accountants for our own lives every hour of the day. So Halan argues that you don't need to track every expense. You just need a system that separates your spending money from your saving money automatically.
And that's her 3-account system.
Exactly. The 3 buckets.
Okay, let's walk through these 3 buckets because this is like the plumbing of the whole operation.
It is. The first bucket is your income account. This is the sump. Everything lands here. Your salary, your annual bonus, dividends, gifts from your grandma, tax refunds, it all hits this one account. This is the intake salve.
Okay, so that's the landing pad. You don't spend from here.
No, you don't. This is just for receiving. The second bucket is the spend it account. This is your allowance.
Your monthly budget.
Your monthly budget. The rule is simple. As soon as your income hits that first account, you move your entire month's worth of living expenses into the spend it account.
So this covers everything. Rent, groceries.
Everything needed to run your life for the month. Rent, groceries, your EMI, movies, petrol, dining out, all of it.
And the discipline comes in where?
The discipline is that if the spend-it account runs dry,
Hmm.
well, you stop spending. You do not dip into savings. You wait for the next month. It forces you to live within that limit without having to write down every transaction. You just look at the balance.
Right. If there's money, you can buy the shoes. If there isn't, you can't.
That's it. It creates a hard border. You don't have to wonder if you can afford it. The account balance tells you yes or no.
I love that simplicity. And then the third bucket, the most important one.
The invested account. Whatever is left in the income account after you've moved your spending money, you move that immediately to the invested account.
So it's not spend first and save what's left. It's save first.
It's save first, then spend what's allocated.
Mm.
The invested account is the wealth builder. This is the money that is going to work for you. And Halan emphasizes something really interesting here. She suggests you should give these accounts actual names in your banking app.
Yes, this was one of my favorite parts. She uses the Chiku the chicken analogy.
It's a hilarious and very effective bit of behavioral economics. She asks, if you had a chicken running around your backyard named Chiku, and you fed him every day, could you eat him for dinner?
No way. Chiku is a pet. Chiku has a name. He's part of the family.
Precisely. Giving something a name gives it an identity. We are much less likely to kill or raid an account named Invest It, or Daughter's Education, or Freedom Fund for a frivolous purchase.
Because the label tells our brain what that money is for.
Exactly. If it's just savings account 2, it's meaningless. It's just a number. But if it's my dream home, you pause before taking money out of it for a weekend trip.
It's mental accounting, but used for good instead of evil. It's so smart.
The goal is a life where money moves automatically within 30 minutes of you receiving your paycheck. It hits income, flows to spend it and invest it, and you're done. You don't have to decide to save every month. The decision is made once, and the system executes it forever.
Okay, so once we have that flow set up, we aren't ready to invest yet, are we? We need a seatbelt first.
We do. And this is where Section 2 comes in, the emergency fund. This addresses a huge psychological barrier. I see this all the time. People hoard cash in their savings accounts because they are terrified. They think, what if I need it?
What if the car breaks down? What if I get laid off?
Right. And because of that fear, they never invest for the long term. The money just sits there, getting eaten by inflation.
Helen tells a story about her daughter and a car seatbelt that really drove this home for me.
It's a perfect analogy. She talks about driving with her daughter, who hated wearing the seatbelt. Then they had to brake hard one day. The belt caught the child and held her back, and the child realized, the belt is holding me so I don't have to hold on.
That's the key. The belt holds you back during a crash, so you are safe.
And the emergency fund holds you back from financial ruin so that your long-term investments can stay untouched. If you don't have an emergency fund, the moment your car breaks down or you lose your job, you're selling your mutual funds.
And you're probably selling them at a loss because emergencies tend to happen when the economy is bad.
Exactly. You are interrupting the compounding process at the worst possible time. The emergency fund protects your wealth-building engine. It allows you to take risks with your other money because you know you have this safety cushion.
So what's the magic number? How much do we need in this seatbelt?
The general rule of thumb she offers is 6 months of living costs. And be careful, that's living costs, not just salary.
Oh, good point.
It includes your EMIs, school fees, utilities, insurance premiums, everything you need to keep the lights on and the family fed.
But there are variations, right? Not everyone needs the full 6 months.
Correct. It depends on your risk profile. If you are a double-income couple with no kids, so high security, low responsibility, you might be fine with 3 months. If one person loses a job, the other is still earning.
Okay.
But if you are a single-income household with dependent parents and children, that risk is much, much higher. You should probably look at 12 months.
A full year. That makes sense. And where do we put this money? Because if I put 6 months of expenses in my checking account, I'm going to spend it. I'll see that high balance and think I'm rich.
And you'll earn 0 interest on it and lose value. Halan suggests sweep in fixed deposits or liquid mutual funds.
Okay, what are those?
They're basically instruments where the money is safe and earns a little more than a savings account, but you can get it quickly. The criteria are simple. It needs to be accessible instantly, or at least within 24 hours, but it needs to be slightly out of sight.
So not connected to your debit card.
Definitely not. You want a tiny bit of friction. It needs to be boring, safe, and available.
Okay, so we have our cash flow moving, we have our seatbelt fastened, now we need the safety net. Section 3, medical insurance.
This is where people make a critical mistake. A mistake that can wipe out decades of savings in a week.
And the mistake is?
relying solely on the insurance their company provides. They think, my job gives me health insurance, so I'm good.
I feel like everyone thinks that. It's free, it's there, why buy more?
Because your job is not permanent. Helen tells a heartbreaking story of a couple high earners, great jobs. The wife gets pregnant, has complications, and has to quit. The husband loses his job shortly after the baby is born due to restructuring. Suddenly, they have a sick baby, no income, and zero insurance coverage because the corporate cover vanished with the job.
That is a nightmare scenario. I can't even imagine.
It is. Or think about retirement. You retire at 60, the company cover is gone, and now you're trying to buy insurance when you're older. Suddenly you have blood pressure issues or diabetes. It becomes insanely expensive or just impossible to get covered.
So you need your own personal policy, one that travels with you regardless of your employment.
You absolutely do.
So what are we looking for? Buying insurance is a headache? I mean, there's so much fine print.
It is, but Helen gives us a checklist of gotchas to avoid. This is crucial. First, the family floater. If you're a nuclear family, you don't need separate policies for everyone. A single large cover, say RS-15 LAC that floats over the whole family, is much cheaper and more efficient.
Okay, family floater. That's a good tip. Now, walk us through the traps. What are the deal breakers?
The biggest one is copay. Never, ever buy a policy with a copay clause if you can avoid it. Copay means you agree to pay a percentage of the bill yourself.
So you're sharing the cost with the insurer.
Exactly. If you have a 20% copay in a 10 lakh bill, you have to cough up 2 lakhs instantly. You want the insurer to pay the whole thing.
Got it. No copay. What's the next trap?
Room rent limits. This is the sneakiest one in the book. Many policies cap your room rent at, say, 1% of the sum assured. So if you have a 3 lakh policy, your room rent limit is 3,000 rupees a day.
Okay. And if the room costs 6,000, I just pay the extra 3,000, right? Seems straightforward.
That's what you would think, but no.
Yeah.
It triggers something called proportionate deduction.
Proportionate deduction. That sounds terrifying.
It is. It's financial jargon for we're going to pay you a lot less than you think. If your room rent is double the limit, the insurer can proportionally deduct every other charge.
Wait.
What? Doctor's fees, surgery costs, nursing, operation theater charges.
Yeah.
Even if those charges were perfectly reasonable, you could end up paying 50% of the entire hospital bill just because you chose a slightly better room.
That is insane. That is incredibly important advice. I had no idea it affected the surgery costs, too.
It affects everything. It's a massive loophole designed to reduce the insurer's payout. Avoid room rent caps at all costs.
Wow. Okay. What else?
The third thing to check is disease waiting periods. Some policies make you wait 2 to 4 years before they cover specific ailments like cataracts, hernia, or knee replacements. You want the shortest waiting period possible.
Now, medical inflation is crazy. A simple surgery can cost lakhs. For people who want high cover like 20 or 30 lakhs but see those massive premiums, is there a way out?
Yes, and Halan recommends a top-up plan. It's a brilliant strategy. You buy a base policy, say 5 lakhs, which handles the smaller stuff. That base policy is relatively cheap.
Okay.
Then you buy a top-up or super top-up for other 15 or 20 lakhs.
How does that work?
The top-up only kicks in if your bill crosses the base amount, in this case 5 lakhs, because the probability of a huge claim is statistically lower. The top-up policy is dirt cheap. You can get massive coverage for a fraction of the cost of a single large policy.
So it's like a deductible, but for a huge amount.
Exactly. It's the most efficient way to protect yourself against a catastrophic illness.
That is a pro tip right there. Okay, we've covered health. Now let's talk about the grim one. Section 4, life insurance.
This is where Helen really takes the gloves off. She calls most life insurance policies sold in India duds.
She really does. She goes after endowment plans, money-back policies, ULIPs. Why is she so against them? These are the policies our parents always bought.
Because the core conflict is that these products mix insurance with investment. And when you mix them, you usually get a bad version of both.
How so?
You get very little insurance cover, maybe 10 times your annual premium, which isn't nearly enough to replace your income, and you get terrible investment return.
How terrible are we talking?
Traditional endowment plans often return about 3% to 4% per year over the long term.
Ouch. That doesn't even beat inflation.
Exactly. You are literally losing purchasing power every year you hold the policy.
Yeah, but the agents love them.
Why is that? Because the commissions are massive. Sometimes 25% or 30% of the first year's premium goes straight into the agent's pocket. That's why they push them so hard. They aren't selling you a product you need. They are selling a product that pays them well.
So if those are duds, what is the solution? What should we be buying?
Term insurance. It is the purest, simplest, and best form of life insurance.
Okay, define that for us.
You pay a premium, and if you die during the term of the policy, your family gets a large lump sum. If you live, you get nothing back.
See, that's the part people struggle with. If I live, I get nothing back. It feels like a waste of money. It feels like flushing cash down the toilet.
Halan reframes this beautifully. She says, do you call your car insurance a waste if you don't crash your car?
No.
Do you call your health insurance a waste if you don't get sick?
No, I call that lucky.
Exactly. It's not an investment, it's a cost. It's the price of protection. You are paying to transfer the risk of your death to the insurance company, and because there is no investment component, it is incredibly cheap.
How cheap are we talking?
For the price of a few dinners out, a healthy 30-year-old can buy a cover of 1 crore. You could never get that kind of coverage with an endowment plan without paying massive, massive premiums.
So how much term insurance do we need? What's the rule of thumb?
The rule of thumb is 8 to 10 times your annual take-home income. Or, if you want to be more precise, 15 to 20 times your annual household expenditure. The goal is to replace your economic value so your family can maintain their lifestyle.
And I assume we should also cover our liabilities, like a home loan.
Yes, absolutely. If you have a home loan, you need a separate term policy to cover that debt. You do not want your family to lose the roof over their heads because they can't pay the EMI after you're gone.
And the advice is?
Buy online to avoid agent pressure and commissions, and buy early. The younger and healthier you are, the cheaper it is, and the premium is locked in for the entire duration of the policy.
Okay, so the safety net is fully constructed. Cash flow, emergency fund, medical, life. Now comes the exciting part. Section 5, investing. And here, Helen challenges what she calls the Indian way.
Oh yes, the cultural obsession with gold and real estate. We grow up believing these are the only real assets. Everything else is just, gambling.
The real estate always goes up, right? That's what every uncle says at every wedding. Buy land, they aren't making any more of it.
It's a myth. And Halan breaks it down with a severe reality check. When you adjust for the holding period, say you hold a property for 20 years, and you subtract maintenance, property tax, and the massive interest you paid on the loan.
All the hidden costs.
All the hidden costs. The actual return is often barely 10% to 12%, sometimes even lower.
Plus, it's illiquid. You can't sell a bathroom if you need some cash.
Exactly. You can't eat a flat. If you have a medical emergency, you can't sell 10% of your house. You have to sell the whole thing, and that takes months, if not longer. It's a clunky, heavy asset.
So her advice is?
Buy a house to live in for emotional security, but do not treat it as your primary investment vehicle.
And gold. What about our obsession with gold?
Gold is a hedge, not a growth engine. Historically, over very long periods, gold barely beats inflation. It keeps its value, but it doesn't multiply it. She recommends keeping gold to just 5–10% of your portfolio, and preferably in sovereign gold bonds, not jewelry.
Right, because jewelry has making charges and storage risks.
Exactly.
So if we aren't buying flats in gold, where should the money go? Where does the real growth come from?
Equity.
Stocks.
And I can hear the listeners tensing up. The stock market feels like a casino to a lot of people. It feels dangerous and unpredictable.
And it can be if you don't know what you're doing. But Halan addresses this fear head on. She explains the Sensex simply as a basket of the 30 most representative companies in the economy.
So you're not betting on one company?
No. Buying the Sensex isn't betting on a horse. It's betting on the Indian economy. It's betting on companies making toothpaste, cars, software, and banking services.
She has this great distinction between volatility and risk. That really clarified things for me. This is a crucial concept to grasp. Volatility is the daily up and down. That is the price of admission to the equity markets. The market will go up 2% today and down 3% tomorrow. That's noise.
Right.
But risk is the chance of permanently losing your capital. Halan argues that if your holding period is over 7 to 10 years, the risk in equity decreases significantly. The volatility remains, but the long-term trend line is upward.
She uses some magic numbers to prove this. This is the moment in the book where my jaw just hit the floor.
The comparison is staggering. She looks at an investment of Rs 1 lakh in 1980.
Okay.
If you put it in a fixed deposit, by 2018 it was worth about Rs 19 lakh. Not bad, right?
Not bad.
In gold, about Rs 16 lakh. Similar ballpark. But if you'd put that same Rs 1 lakh in the Sensex,
Give me the number, I'm ready.
Rs 2.3 crore.
Whoa. Let's just pause on that. 19 lakh versus 2.3 crore. That is not a small difference. That is a life-changing difference. That's a difference between a comfortable retirement and a truly luxurious one.
That is the power of compounding in a growth asset class. Equity represents ownership in businesses. Businesses generate profits and reinvest them to grow. Gold just sits there. FDs just pay interest. If you want to beat inflation and create real wealth, you cannot ignore equity.
But picking stocks is hard. I don't know how to read a balance sheet. I don't know which company is the next big thing and which one is about to collapse.
And you shouldn't have to try. That brings us perfectly to Section 6. The vehicle. Mutual funds.
She calls them the public transport of investing. I love that.
Yes. Why drive the car yourself, picking stocks, stressing in traffic, checking the engine, when you can hire a professional driver? That's the fund manager. You get on the bus with everyone else. It's cheaper, safer, and gets you to the destination.
And I love her thali analogy for asset allocation. It makes the concept of diversification so tasty and easy to understand.
It's perfect, isn't it? Think of a standard Indian thali.
Yeah.
You can't just eat a bowl of pickles. You need a base rice or roti. That is your debt allocation. Think fixed deposits, bonds. It's safe, it fills you up, it keeps you stable.
Okay.
Then you need protein dal or sabzi. That is your equity. This is what gives you strength and growth.
And the pickle.
And you need the pickle or papad. That is your gold or other alternative assets. It adds flavor, maybe a hedge against a bad day. You cannot survive on a meal of just pickles. And a meal of just rice is boring and won't build muscle. You need the balance.
That is such a great way to think about it. So let's decode the jargon. There are so many types of funds. How do we know what to pick?
She simplifies it down to your time horizon. It's all about when you need the money.
Makes sense.
If you need the money in less than 3 years, say for a wedding or a down payment on a car stick to debt funds, they are safer. You don't want the market to crash the week before your wedding.
Definitely not.
If you need the money in 3 to 7 years, which is a medium term, look at balanced or hybrid funds. They're a mix of equity and debt.
A bit of growth, a bit of safety.
Exactly. And if the goal is more than 7 years away, so long term, you should be in equity funds.
And what about active versus passive funds? This is a big debate right now.
It is. Active means a fund manager is actively trying to beat the market. They're researching their trading, and they're charging you higher fees for their effort.
Okay.
Passive means the fund just copies an index, like the Sensex or the Nifty. It's automated. Halan strongly recommends index funds for beginners.
Why is that?
They're low cost, and you don't have to worry if your fund manager is a genius or not. You just get the market return. And as we saw with that 2.3 crore number, the market return is plenty good enough for most of us.
And the magic tool to do all this without thinking is the SIP.
The systematic investment plan. It is the antidote to timing the market. We all want to buy low and sell high, but our emotions usually make us do the exact opposite.
We panic, sell, and greed buy.
We do. SEP forces you to invest a fixed amount every month on a fixed date, no matter what. If the market is down, your money buys more units. If the market is up, your existing units grow in value. It averages out your cost and, most importantly, enforces discipline. It takes emotion out of the equation.
So we are investing for the long term, but what is the end goal? This brings us to Section 7, retirement, or as Halan calls it, the number.
She redefines retirement. It's not about sitting on a porch doing nothing that gets boring really fast. It's about financial freedom.
The point where you don't need to work.
Exactly. The point where you don't need to work to pay the bills. You can work because you want to, on projects you love, not because you have to pay the EMI.
The math of inflation here is scary but necessary. She uses the rule of 72.
The rule of 72 is a mental math trick everyone needs in their pocket. It helps you calculate how fast your expenses will double. You just divide 72 by the inflation rate.
Okay, so if inflation is, say, 6%.
Then your expenses will double every 12 years. 72 divided by 6 is 12.
So let's play that out. If I spend 1 lakh a month today to live.
In 12 years, you will need 2 lakhs a month to buy the exact same stuff.
Wow.
In 24 years, you'll need 4 lakhs a month. In 36 years, when you might be retiring, you'll need 8 lakhs a month just to maintain today's lifestyle.
That is terrifying. 8 lakhs a month. How is that even possible?
That is why you need equity. That is why you need growth. FDs giving 6% will just barely keep up. They won't get you ahead of the curve.
So how much is enough? What is the formula for the retirement corpus?
Her target is a corpus that is 18 to 35 times your annual spending at the age of 60.
That's a wide range, 18 to 35.
It is. It depends on how lavishly you want to live and how long you expect to live. But aiming for 25, 30 times your annual expenses is a safe bet for most people.
And she also gives a save your age rule for those starting late.
Yes, and this is a bit of a wake-up call. If you start with zero savings at age 25, you need to save 25% of your post-tax income.
Okay, that's doable.
But if you wait and you start at age 40 with zero savings, You now need to save 40% of your income.
40%. That is a huge chunk of your income. That's really tough.
It is. It's painful. The key takeaway here is, the earlier you start, the less painful it is. Compounding does the heavy lifting if you give it time. If you wait, you have to do all the heavy lifting yourself.
We can't finish this deep dive without talking about the one thing nobody wants to talk about. Section 8. Wills and estate planning.
The immortal delusion. We see people dying every day, but we subconsciously believe we are immortal. Halan says not making a will is the most selfish thing you can do.
Why so harsh?
Because you are leaving a legal and emotional mess for your grieving family to clean up.
The biggest confusion here, and she clarifies it so well, is the difference between a nominee and a legal heir. I honestly thought they were the same thing.
Most people do, and it causes so much legal chaos in India. A nominee is just a caretaker. They are a trustee. The bank or mutual fund hands the money to the nominee for safekeeping after you're gone.
But they don't own it.
They do not own it. The legal heir, as defined by law or by your will, is the actual owner.
So what's the problem?
The problem is if they are different people. Say you nominated your mother on your bank account 10 years ago, but your wife is your legal heir. Your mother is legally obligated to hand that money to your wife. But if your will doesn't clarify this, they can end up in court fighting over it for years. It destroys families.
So a will clarifies the transfer of ownership, not just the custodianship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she talks about the awkward conversation we need to have with our aging parents. It's hard to ask, Dad, what happens when you die? It feels morbid. But it is an act of love to have that conversation and ensure everything is smooth for the next generation.
Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground. Let's bring it all together. Section 9, the money box grid. This is the visual takeaway of the whole book.
It is. Imagine a simple grid. This is your financial dashboard. Let's fill it in.
Okay.
Cell 1, cash flow. That's your 3 accounts. Income, spend it, invest it. The plumbing.
Got it.
Cell 2, emergency fund. 6 months of expenses, sitting in a liquid fund. Your fee belt. Cell 3, medical insurance. A family floater plus a top-up plan. Your safety net.
Yeah.
Cell 4, life insurance. A pure term plan only. Nothing else.
Then the investment cells.
Right. Cell 5.
Yeah.
Almost there. Goals less than 3 years away. That money goes into debt funds or FDs. Cell 6, in some time. Goals that are 3 to 7 years out. Balanced funds. Cell 7, far away. Goals more than 7 years away. That's for equity funds.
And retirement.
Cell 8, retirement. That's heavily weighted towards equity.
And the last few pieces.
Cell 9, gold. Just a small allocation, 5 to 10%, probably through bonds. Cell 10, real estate, only the house you actually live in. And finally, Cell 11, the will, the legal document that holds it all together for your family.
That is the roadmap. It's clean, it's logical, and it covers everything from daily spending to what happens after you're gone.
And notice what's not there. No crypto, no day trading, no confusing endowment plans, no derivatives, just a solid, boring system that works.
So to wrap up, what is the overarching philosophy here?
It's about reducing friction. Once you set this system up, which, yes, might take a few weekends of paperwork and phone calls, you really only need to check in on it twice a year.
And it protects you.
It protects you from the 3 great enemies of wealth: inflation, emergencies, and bad advice from greedy agents.
And she ends with this beautiful concept of enough.
Yes, the book isn't just about accumulating more. It's about reaching a point where money stops being a worry so you can focus on living your life. It's about financial peace, not just financial wealth.
So listeners, here is your challenge. Don't try to do it all at once. That's overwhelming, and you'll just give up. Take one step today.
Just one.
Open that separate Spend It account online. Or pull up your health insurance policy and search for the phrase room rent limit or copay. Just one small step to start building your box.
Precisely. Build the system and let the system build your life.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you in the next deep dive.
Goodbye and happy investing.